Dear AFL, I normally swear on here and act like an idiot. However, there will be no profanity or hyperbole in this letter. These are my honest and bewildered thoughts as a current player and a lifetime fan of the greatest game in the world. The Tribunal and Match Review Panel are single-handedly destroying the game. You are making it impossible to play in good spirit, you're making it impossible to adjudicate, and you are not far off making it impossible to support. Ooh. Over the past 12 months, this is my interpretation of the rules of the game based on what I am hearing and what I am currently seeing coming out of the AFL. Protect the head at all costs, unless, obviously, a head knock is a result of a football act. But then it depends on how hard you get hit in the football act, and if the player had any other alternatives. But also the player needs to take into account the potential to cause harm. But of course it shouldn't depend on the outcome of the opponent, unless of course it does result in a concussion. But even then it depends on the intent, but of course a player is entitled to attack the ball with good technique, but it doesn't matter if the opposition runs in head first like every kid playing the game growing up gets taught not to do. But then of course it depends on the state of the game and the time of the year, and whether or not we need to make an example out of someone. But then don't forget if they have had a clean record in the past and do charity work. But then obviously that can only matter once and never again, because from now it doesn't count. And it also depends on the player and on the team. But then it also all boils down to protecting the head, because we're seeing more players retire from concussion than ever before. But we will let a guy stay out and play next week after punching someone in the face in the goal square because it wasn't hard enough to really hurt them. Let that sink in for just 10 seconds.
I like it.
It's not over.
I like it.
I've grown up all my life surrounded by football. Playing football, watching football. My family has been engrossed in the AFL system for decades, and I have absolutely no idea what's going on. My brother is never going to play football again in his whole life because of a jumping smother that turned into a bump which collided with his head. As much as it kills me to watch that, I can put my feelings for Angus aside and say that down to the nuts and bolts of it, Maynard was trying to smother the ball in a qualifying final, so technically it was a football act. You certainly didn't care for the outcome there, and Braden was allowed to go on and win a premiership. That is precedence. That was such a defining moment from the Tribunal as I can remember, and you went on with protecting the sanctity of the game over the protection of the player. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with that, but it's breaking me that you can't stick to one thing and are constantly backflipping on that stance. Peter Wright and Toby Green, 4 weeks and 1 week respectively. Football acts with not a whole lot of difference. Jeremy Finlayson got less than Peter Wright for a homophobic slur, which once again highlights how far off any idea the AFL has got and how much you don't know what's happening at the Tribunal. You just make it up as you see fit.
Yes.
Matt Crouch has been given a week for picking the ball up exactly how every kid ever playing football was taught to do it.
Yes.
There is goal square footage of Jesse Hogan punching his defender in the face, and he admitted to openly swinging and trying to push his opponent. The AFL's response, quote, "We are not clearly satisfied that there was anything more than negligible." Finish quote. He swung a fist at a bloke's face, and you didn't give him a week because it didn't hurt him hard enough. Punish the action, not the outcome, unless obviously the outcome is they're okay. Ask my little brother Andrew if having an intentional swing to the face has the potential to cause harm. It's incredible.
Wowzers.
We've heard enough about Charlie Cameron being left out for being a nice guy, but Tom Barrass can't escape the week for the same thing. There apparently is only one get-out-of-jail-free card in the deck. This is my last point, and I'm going to swear because I'm over it, and you can bleep this out if you want. Tom Barrass is staying in Perth and missing one game for a dangerous tackle. I don't think there was much more he could have done differently. Michael Walters played the game out and isn't concussed, but sure, still give Tom Barrass a week if that's the stance you're trying to go with. Protect the head at all costs. I can't physically watch the Melbourne Demons play football anymore because my brother's brain is going to be fucked for the rest of his whole life, and that wasn't enough for a week off. AFL, you're the greatest game in the world, but right now you're a joke. Your systems for protecting the player and maintaining the integrity of the game are broken and desperately need to be fixed. Before they can be fixed, you need to actually understand the criteria you want to govern the game by. It needs to be understandable for the public, and it needs to be followed. You can't pick and choose when to dismiss certain things and when to change your views on others. It has to change, otherwise the game is going to turn into something unrecognisable, and it is going to happen very, very quickly. Yours sincerely, Hamish Brayshaws.